Hoppers is Pixar's newest movie, and it's being very well received. But besides being a lot of fun, the film is also packed with some fantastic Easter eggs. Mabel's bedroom doesn't get much screen time in the movie, but it gets just enough for us to notice a few interesting little things. Among her toys, there are 3 bear dolls stacked on top of each other. They are the main characters from We Bare Bears, the Cartoon Network show. This reference isn't there by accident, since Daniel Chong, the director of this film, is also the creator of We Bare Bears, so this was a nod to his previous project. Right next to the bears, we found an Easter egg that hints at what will appear in the next Pixar movie after this one, Toy Story 5. This hint comes in the form of Atlas, one of the new toys that will show up in this new adventure with Woody and his friends. Disney films often include references to other movies from the studio that will be released soon. Moana appeared in Zootopia before her movie hit theaters, and Elio made a subtle appearance in Zootopia 2, which came out before his own film. Atlas appearing here months before Toy Story 5 shows that Disney has no intention of stopping this tradition. Pretty interesting, right? But this is just the beginning of the 16 details and Easter eggs you missed in Hoppers. You already know, right? Another Cinewave is starting! Mabel's phone alone is already a reference by itself. The device is covered in stickers, one of them being the classic Toy Story alien. The little green aliens from the toy franchise are adorable, and it seems like Mabel agrees with that. There's another sticker on her phone that connects to a Pixar movie, but this one is much harder to notice. In this case, it's an Explorer badge that's part of the story in Up. Most kids who watch this movie today have probably never even seen Up, since it's an animation from 2009. In other words, only people who really know Pixar would have noticed this detail. Believe it or not, these are far from being the only references to other Disney movies. In fact, the next Easter eggs we're going to talk about might be more than just small details. Many of them are connections that suggest all Pixar movies might actually exist in the same universe, something fans have been theorizing about for decades. Several of these references appear on Dr. Sam's invention board, showing other projects she's working on. Since she understands robotics, one of the things she's developing is another robot that isn't a beaver, but its appearance is identical to the android from WALL-E, which takes place in a future where Earth has been devastated and he's the only one wandering around. Could Dr. Sam actually be the creator of WALL-E? In the lower corner of the invention board, there are notes about another very suspicious idea, a mechanism that turns the sound of screams into energy. If you didn't recognize where that comes from, let us refresh your memory. This is the most important technology in the world of Monsters, Inc., where monsters have to scare little kids so their screams can be converted into energy that powers their cities. This suggests that Dr. Sam might also have been responsible for inventing this technology. Now the real question is how it could have ended up in the monsters world. If there's one piece of technology from a Disney movie that makes perfect sense for Dr. Sam to have created, it's this one that was also mentioned on her board, a collar that turns a dog's thoughts into sound, allowing the dog to speak. This is another Easter egg from Up, where one of the most beloved characters is the dog Doug. The little dog wears a collar that does exactly that. It converts his thoughts into speech so he can talk. Since Dr. Sam has already created a device that lets her enter the body of a robotic beaver and blend into nature, it makes perfect sense that she would also have plans to build a collar that allows animals to talk to people. So what about you? Would you think it's cool if Pixar confirmed that all of their movies really take place in the same universe? If so, comment below #Pixar so we can see. Tired of the Disney Easter eggs already? Well, that's your problem, because this movie clearly wasn't holding back when it came to including references to other animations from the studio. At the beginning of the film, Mabel frees a turtle that's inside a cage at her school, and this animal hides a little secret. The turtle's name is Crush, and as surprising as it may sound, there's another Disney turtle with that exact same name. We're talking about Crush from Finding Nemo. It would be almost impossible for that to be just a coincidence. It was a really cool Easter egg. In fact, it might have been more than just an Easter egg. What if this turtle is actually the same one from Finding Nemo at a different stage of his life, which would explain why they both share the same name? Even the identification number of Dr. Sam's laboratory couldn't escape having a reference in it, especially since this was the perfect place for one of Pixar's biggest Easter eggs to appear. The number on the door is A113. This number has appeared in every Pixar movie released, serving as a tribute to the classroom number at the California Institute of the Arts, where many Pixar animators studied. What better place for this Easter egg to show up than on the door of a hardworking scientist's lab, with a board full of sketches and ideas? Of course, we couldn't forget to talk about one of the funniest dialogues in the movie, when the scientists are explaining how their invention works. The device transports your mind into a robotic beaver, making you wake up inside its body, and it doesn't take long before Mabel, the main character, says it's just like the movie Avatar. If we stop and think about it, she's right. In Avatar, Jake Sully uses a machine that allows his mind to enter the body body of an alien. Many other movies would try to avoid comparisons like that, but this one was very straightforward about revealing the film's main inspiration. It was a bold choice, and it definitely left a lot of people smiling. When Mabel is introduced at the beginning of the movie, she walks right in front of a shop. And yes, there's another reference here. A toy car is sitting right behind the store window, and it's not just any vehicle, it's the Pizza Planet truck. Pizza Planet is a restaurant franchise within the Toy Story universe that plays an important role in the first movie, since Woody and Buzz end up there. It's amazing how Pixar has never abandoned these small tributes to its own beginnings, because references like this are a way for everyone to remember where the studio started. During the meeting of the Animal Council, many animals appear, and the reasons are pretty obvious. But what's curious is that among them, we can see 3 small blue birds that don't really draw much attention at first. However, there's something that very few people are able to notice. They are identical to the birds from a Pixar short film called For the Birds, released in 2000. No one will judge you if you've never heard of this animation before, because it's quite old and not very famous. That just shows how Hoppers is really putting everyone's Pixar knowledge to the test. But in this case, there was another reason for such a specific Easter egg. It's a tribute to animator Ralph Eggleston, who directed the short film. Sadly, he passed away a few years ago, in 2022, at the age of 56. It's the way Pixar's animators chose to show that they respect his legacy. Remember when we mentioned that the film's director, Daniel Chong, is also the creator of We Bare Bears? Well, he brought someone from that previous project into this new production. King George is voiced by Bobby Moynihan. He previously voiced Panda, one of the 3 main characters in We Bare Bears. The funny thing is that the roles are somewhat similar. Panda was very funny in a way that's pretty close to King George's personality. And of course, there's the obvious part. One is a panda, and the other is a beaver. It really seems like Daniel Chong enjoys creating stories about animals. There's a new video here every day, so subscribe and hit the bell to stay up to date. Some other characters are also voiced by very interesting people. In the case of the Insect Queen, she is voiced by Meryl Streep, and there's a very good reason why that's interesting. This isn't the first time she has played an Insect Queen. In The Ant Bully, which is about a boy who shrinks and ends up discovering a society of ants, one of the characters is the Ant Queen, and she was voiced by Meryl Streep. Now she voices the Insect Queen in Hoppers. It's actually kind of ironic, because while the Ant Queen in the older movie was peaceful and calm, the Insect Queen in Pixar's new movie is much more nervous and aggressive. Ellen the Bear is another character whose voice behind the scenes stands out. The actress who voices her is Melissa Villaseñor, and what makes this especially interesting is that even after watching this movie, many people will be hearing Melissa's voice again very soon. Why, you ask? Simple. Melissa is also part of the cast of Toy Story 5, where she voices Karen Beverly, you know, Forky's girlfriend. It seems like she really enjoys working with Pixar, right? As absurd as it may sound, even King George's backstory is an Easter egg, and you'll understand why when you really think about it. He was banished by his own father from his kingdom. Later, after his father lost his life, George was convinced by the other mammals to become the new king of the animals. This is very similar to one of Disney's biggest classics, The Lion King. The story of a prince who ends up being banished from his own kingdom and later returns to become the new king fits both George and Simba. It's so similar that it's hard to believe it's just a coincidence. Speaking of that, it's also hard to talk about the similarities between George and Simba without remembering that Dr. Sam also strongly resembles a character from a classic movie. But this time, we're not talking about a Disney production. We're talking about Back to the Future. One of the most iconic characters in that film is Doc Brown, an eccentric scientist who invented time travel. The similarities between Dr. Sam and Doc Brown are many, from their strange behaviors to inventions so absurd that they barely even seem like technology anymore. Both of them also have young protégés who test their inventions. Sam has Mabel, while Brown has Marty McFly. On top of that, both Sam and Brown are often called Doc by their protégés. Hoppers is barely even trying to hide this tribute, and that just makes it even more fun. We've left 2 videos on your screen so you can choose and keep having fun with us. See you in the next video!